We're going to turn off that epic music, Amira, while I bring you up here on stage. I think I just invited you.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then can I also invite you to video mode? Oops. And I'm going to turn on my video mode. Nice. All right. I'm gonna turn this horizontally in a second. I'm just pushing buttons on my phone real quick.
Oh, okay. I thought I did something.
Oh no, you are perfect. You look perfect. You followed all the instructions perfectly.
Thank you.
I'm just making sure my simulcast is gonna work. So I think we are now currently simulcasting on YouTube. So let me now actually make myself look prettier. There we go.
Sweet.
How you doing today?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Yep, just I'm broadcasting and working from home today. So I run two businesses: the DCP Entertainment, our media company, as well as a studio called Podstream, which is where we'll normally be shooting this series, The Entrepreneur Struggle. But fortunately, we're all booked up today for an event. So that's a good thing that we're getting money, but also why I'm in a smaller apartment and why there might be some weird noise in the background every once in a while.
It's okay. I live on a main street, so it's the same thing. There might be occasional horns or something.
Okay, perfect. I'm not the only one. I am going to just quickly, I've noticed it's good if I hit the share button so people get alerts.
Great.
So we'll give people a sec. And actually, my assistant just let me know that the YouTube live streaming is working. So hi, anybody watching us on YouTube. We'll get started officially here shortly, but you can still be here part of our small talk as we get ourselves ready.
Awesome.
Amir, I forgot to ask, you're in LA, right?
Yep. I'm in LA.
Nice. So yeah, appreciate you for joining us a little earlier in the day, kind of breaking up your day.
It's a good break.
Good. Oh, cool. Yep. So we got some people coming in here. So hey, everybody. Welcome to Entrepreneur Struggle. I guess we'll get things started here. As always, these are more conversations. So when I say get started, you're really just kind of popping in as Amira and I are actually getting the first time talking and seeing each other face to face. We've been emailing a little bit here, but I'm really excited to have Amira Ahmed, as our second ever guest on this new iteration of Entrepreneur Struggle. Last week Oh, thank you. We, kicked things off with our new iteration. Now where we're going to be focusing on individual entrepreneurs and not just me, talking about my struggles and, some of the things that I've done to overcome certain aspects of the struggles that we face as business leaders and, people running our own companies or even freelancing. But now we can get like these pointed discussions with people who are in various industry fields. So I come from media, but I love learning from people who come from the world of legal or, sales or fashion, hospitality. I think it's really good to learn lessons from people who are working in different industries because it allows you to be more creative and even thoughtful about how you're approaching your own industry and your own team. So Amira is actually the first guest we've had on this show that actually had wanted to be a guest. It wasn't me just saying, please be a guest on the show. Amira actually had reached out to be a guest. And I am, first of all, just humbled by the fact that, you want to be a guest here, but also appreciative that you want to help to share your wisdom with everybody. So Amira, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm as well humbled and honored to be a part of this. And I think you have something really great happening here. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And for those who just joined, Amira and I were talking earlier about how we're both in our noisy homes right now. So apologies for any background noise. I also have a college student that's been staying with me lately. So you might see a smaller person walk behind me. I guess college students are kind of adults, but anyway. So if you see a random person walk behind me, you don't have to warn me. It's all good. I'm not getting robbed. All will be fine. But if you do see someone start lifting stuff off my walls, then yes, please let me know.
Yes.
But Amira is an incredible entrepreneur, somebody who, when we were first connected, we were connected through a woman named Faye, who's part of the Fireside team. So thank you so much, Faye, for connecting us. And when Faye was telling me about Amira, she was mentioning how, she just had this like really great idea for how to approach beauty and skincare and sales essentially as well, but taking it from a holistic perspective and not just about products. And so after learning more about Amira's business, I really thought it was important for us to not only learn about her journey, but also learn about the business that you've created. So I'd like to start there. Amira, if you can tell us about your business, Sugar Dynamite, and what made you create it.
So Sugar Dynamite started out of my own need. In 2010 is actually 2007, 2010 is most of you are aware, we went through a huge economic disaster, and I found myself extremely stressed out. I had lost my job after 15 years. I found out I had mortgage fraud. It was like one thing after the next. And it seemed like everyone was kind of crumbling, right? We all were. We were all stressed out. We all, whether it was our stocks tanking or our real estate investments, whatever it was. And I found myself just pretty much, I think, stripped down to nothing. And it wasn't, what that did was all of this stress of like losing a job and going through this huge economic downturn triggered an autoimmune response in my body. And I didn't really know what was wrong with me until 2010. But it was like a couple of years, I started feeling really fatigued, really tired. My skin was dry, my hair was dry, my face was breaking out. I'm like, what is going on? So long story short, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's disease. And, there were so many things I needed to do to get my health back. A lot of it was getting rid of toxic ingredients, whether they were cleaning products or my beauty products. I mean, I had to purge so many different things. And at the end of the day, I wanted to feel good. I knew I had a long road ahead of me when it came to recovery, but what could I do to my day to day just to give me an uplifting spirit? And so, and make me feel just a little bit better than I was. And so I was buying, looking at different products and multitasking products, and I came up with sugar scrubs. I was buying sugar scrubs. They were really expensive. The quality of ingredients were terrible. And they just didn't suit all my needs. So I'm like,
What's
I'm
what's a
make my
sugar scrub, may I ask? Because I'm, I probably should take better care of my skin. So is it literally just rubbing sugar on your body to exfoliate?
basically you're gently exfoliating while you're moisturizing your skin. So my sugar scrub is, it's a very fine brown sugar made, from very minimal processed sugar cane. And then the ingredients are, raw organic shea butter, coconut oil, just like all of the good stuff for your skin. And then I was using essential oils to kind of give me a kick, right? Like if I was feeling tired and fatigued in the morning, I'm like, can I add peppermint to the scrub and exfoliate and feel a little alive? Because I
Yeah,
kind of
peppermint,
felt,
it
yeah,
rejuvenates you.
rejuvenates you, right? It makes you feel good. So I started experimenting with different scrubs and different scents. And what I realized was this sensorial experience was helping me, with mind, body, spirit, helping me feel better and uplifting me. So I thought, okay, if I had like a date night, like I wanted, something more vanilla and amber based, or again, if I needed a pep in my step in the morning, or if my feet were tired, I'd use the peppermint. So I started experimenting and I started putting a bunch of this stuff in my, just housing it in my bathroom. And one day a friend came over and she used my shower and she exfoliated with my scrub and came out. She said, "Oh my God, my skin feels so good. Like, what is this stuff? There isn't a label on there." And I'm like, "Oh, just some stuff I threw together in my kitchen." And, and she's like, "Oh no, this is the best body scrub I've ever tried." And she's a beauty junkie. So I'm like, "Are you serious?" She's like, "Yeah."
Wow.
And so I started giving it to friends, but aside from the product, back to what it did for me was it gave me a sense of purpose. Because when I was at a point where I was really sick and at times I couldn't even pull myself out of bed, we're talking, this is like 2010. I would just, I'm like, what can I do? And I get my laptop and I'd be in bed and I start researching ingredients and the traceability of, for where they come from and how they're sourced. And so what could I do um, to really put together and formulate a product that I knew where all the ingredients came from, what it would do. And what I realized was this was something bigger than just high quality ingredients in a scrub. It was that there is a sense of inclusiveness and community for everyone, because this isn't specific to gender or religion or race, or it's just us as humans and how we are living and surviving and thriving in this day and age. What are some of the things we can do? And I know self-care kind of has a bad rap because people think, oh, self-care is beyond just throwing a face mask on and reading a book. Self-care is described however you want it to be. And for me, that was my self-care, because not only did it multitask where it exfoliated my dry skin and moisturized and made me feel good, I was able to sleep through the night, wake up in the morning, but I had a sense of purpose. And then the different fragrances I used sparked different emotions. And all of that mind, body, spirit really came together in that it was like, okay, this is more than just a product. So I think when it comes to talking about like the whole ethos of what it is, your brand, your company, your mission, your purpose, like all of those things then started coming together for me.
That's amazing. Well, amazing. One, sorry to hear what you were going through. That kind of spurred creating the business. But I am a big proponent of talking about the fact that a lot of times those tough things that we're going through are those things that help inform, what our life's purpose is going to be. I like saying our trauma, helps inform our life's purpose in a lot of ways. If you're able to take a step back and see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And it's interesting in what you were talking about too, because you're going beyond just the skincare. You're creating a feeling and a healing. Obviously you're healing yourself in doing this, but now you're trying to create that same experience for others. As you create some of these different scents and different products, are you first looking at yourself or looking at the consumer? Maybe that's changed over time, but like, are you looking at yourself and saying, okay, I need something that's going to make me happier, or I need something that's going to help me feel a little bit more calm? And then you create the product for that? Or do you look at, your audience base and now say, all right, this is what they are probably going to want or what they need?
I look at my audience base, and I look to family, friends, and even people, basically my audience, because my audience is who I make this for. Initially, I made it for me, but as this has grown and as it starts to pick up more traction, I'm doing this. This is who I'm giving this to, is to my audience. And so I can't cater to everyone. And I think realistically with products, you can't just be a one-stop shop. Like, it's not just for everyone, right? But I will say, it's, what does the consumer want? What is it they need? And I do my best to try to deliver on that.
And you, like, looking at your resume, you've been doing sales and working in like the fashion and beauty and self-care industry for a while, but you were working for all these other major companies. Before you got sick, like, were you already thinking about maybe being your entrepreneur, or was it really just you kind of falling into it because you were creating something for yourself?
No, I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit within me. My parents were both entrepreneurs. Typical immigrant story. They came here, immigrated here from Egypt in 1970, and my parents, started their own business from scratch. And I learned a lot from them, and especially my dad, who has a background in mechanical engineering. But he always taught me, the nuts and bolts of the business. And then my mom always taught me something. So it was kind of like every single one of us there's 6 of us in our family. We all have this entrepreneurial side of us. But when I worked for other companies, a lot of times I managed teams and, and then, the sales and marketing side of things. And I think having that experience has helped shape basically what I want my company to be in the future and what effective leadership looks like. how you grow beyond just within your team, but community outreach and really making a difference in communities. Because honestly, anybody can sell a product, especially DTC online. It's really easy to do. But if you're just selling a product and really there isn't a mission beyond the purpose that's ever evolving, um, then you're just selling product. Like you're just in it for the capital. And what's in that? Like to me, that's not fulfilling. And to some people, that's great and that's all they want to do, and that's awesome. But for me, with my purpose and my company, given my background and my expertise, it has to go beyond that.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. I think, especially now in the world of social media, I think that's even more important that, you have this mission driven kind of company and, the people who are buying the product now want to know who is behind the company because they want to know what the company stands for. Especially when it gets into the political realm and stuff like that, they even more so. But even on things that are just beauty and fashion, they want to understand who they're buying from. They want to trust those people, which also makes me think, how do you then balance that? Like, how do you balance giving yourself to your patrons and allowing them to understand who you are as a person while also pushing the business? How do you balance pushing yourself, the business, and then also giving yourself free time so that you're not just your whole life isn't work?
You mean like work-life balance?
That thing.
Yeah, that's always a work in progress. It's kind of twofold here, right? So first off, addressing, how do you really get the message out about your company and its purpose? That will always be something that's kind of like what I call the music playing in the background. It should always be happening because although you have your audience, there are so many eyes on other aspects of your business, right? Whether they see it on a social media platform or through an email or word of mouth, right? So that's always the music playing in the background. And then I think, doing interviews like this, right, where you plug it on your website and other social channels so they see that there is actually a person behind the brand and that there is an emotional connection for the audience where it's just not this VC backed accelerator company, right?
Yeah.
Or incubator. And then there is the aspect of really cultivating the community. And all of those things are such a huge, it's a juggling act. And it's being agile and constantly pivoting because the industry is always moving and shaking. Um, so for me, in order to really have work-life balance, I have to set boundaries with people, set boundaries with work and with myself, and then follow through. Because, we say it's been said the root of human suffering is like not having boundaries. And it's true because everyone will come at you. But then I also think it's, one, setting boundaries, and then two, really having a purpose and sticking to it. If you are captivated by your purpose, you won't be distracted by comparison. And it's very easy to go down the rabbit hole, and I'm still guilty of it, where I'll be online at night on my phone and I'm just going in, like researching brands, researching this, researching trends, and at some point I need to sleep. I need to care for myself so I'm more productive the next day, and carve out time for when I need to do some research. But then I've also scaled back, and I don't compare myself to other brands or other companies. I think that's where people get distracted and they lose their vision, and their sense of
Yeah.
purpose then starts to get blurry.
Well,
So
especially a lot of times if you're comparing yourself to somebody who's has been doing it for 10 years or 20 years or may have, different kind of financial resources. It's not always a one-to-one comparison. So a lot of times we'll hold ourselves to a standard that isn't attainable yet.
and you can't. Each and every single one of us is unique and different. And trust me, there is plenty of market share to be had. So, am I going to compare myself to the Tree Hut of the world, who is like the number one brand on Amazon, and their DTC is huge, and they're in CVS, and they have their omni-channel is so broad and wide. No, I'm not, because I have a different product. I'm actually a person behind the product, and I have a purpose. Again, I'm not just creating a product out of, solely just running a business.
Yeah, and just for those who are watching here, because we're broadcasting in a few different places, if you're live with us here on Fireside, I forgot to mention early on, if you want to ask a question, feel free to raise your hand, or I think you can even leave a little comment and I can ask it myself. We, might get some time to be able to go out to you all in the audience. So, feel free to raise your hand and I'll come to you when the moment feels right. And if you are watching us on YouTube, I'd also then encourage you to join us on Fireside so you can actually be part of the conversation. But for those of you on YouTube live watching us, we appreciate you being here as well. We're talking to Amira Ahmed, who created and runs, the founder and CEO of Sugar Dynamite. I just learned what a sugar scrub was today. Maybe it'll help me with my eczema. We've learned a little bit.
There we go.
Yeah, it's starting to, especially in the wintertime, and now it's starting to get on my face. So yeah, I need to up my my skincare game, and I think you're going to be my new guru.
Yes, I got you.
You were mentioning earlier too, you have this family of entrepreneurs or people, kind of trailblazing in different ways. And, when in doing the research, I also stumbled on the fact that I've actually had some dealings with your brother, because I used to work in comedy for many years, running stations for Sirius XM radio. So your brother, Amira Ahmed, is a hysterical comedian, somebody who I think I may have made him a little bit of money by putting him on the air. But, he doesn't have to give me anything for that. But no, how do you, like, being in such a family, how does that infectious between you two? How do you all work together to maybe help uplift each other or to help educate each other of what you might be going through next? Like, how do you use that built-in community that you have at home?
It's interesting. We're from Riverside, California, super small town. And it's like, my brother moved to LA when he was 18 to become an actor, and then got into comedy and, directed. And so he's like multifaceted. My little sister runs owns her own insurance office. Each of everybody in my family has some sort of business or business dealing. And Ahmed has a huge network of friends and people he knows. And I'll never forget, and so do I, but I'll never forget, he's like, oh, give me some of your scrubs. Or actually, I'm going to call up, I don't mean to name drop, but Whitney Cummings and Tiffany Haddish, and I want you to send them scrubs. And I thought, okay, but I kind of had like this moment where I just kind of like deflated. Wow. Because I thought my labels are terrible, and I haven't been able to work on new labels because I don't have the money to I have to use the 1,000 labels that I have before I invest in new ones. And he's like, oh, just send it to him. And I'm like, you think it's that easy? Like, everything needs to be, if I'm going to, send it to them, like, it needs to be in order. It needs to look amazing. And I was embarrassed. And then I had to give myself a real kick in the butt. And I was just like, you know what? Send it. I am a new entrepreneur. I'm a new business owner. Unless somebody hands me $25,000 for new packaging, this is what it is. And until I can work on the packaging, the formula is amazing. So I really had to get out of that perfectionist way of thinking. And I sent it to them. So I first, Whitney Cummings got it, and I was stalking her stories, like trying to see if she posted anything. And again, it wasn't that I expected it. And then it was like 6 months down the line, I get a notification on my phone, and it's like, Whitney Cummings posted about Sugar Dynamite. And I went, oh, again. So I went to see it, and here she is in the bathtub, and she wrote, scrubbing all the bad vibes in LA away, or something like that. And I thought, oh my God, this was unpaid, organic, like PR, like amazing. So I quickly did a screen grab record on that. And then, so with Ahmed's network, I've been able to plug and seed Sugar Dynamite to people, but I never expected anyone to post about it or to put it in their stories. Really, it was just like, how do I expand my audience? So it's like more for everyone. no matter who they are. So it's really cool. We network a lot. We're starting to kind of layer, um, not layer businesses, but I worked a lot with him when I was younger on his I was on his coattails when he started in comedy and stand up, and so we know a lot of the same people. And it's about leveraging our strengths, because
Yeah.
what I believe, and I know what Ahmed believes too, is that everyone adds value. And so, what is their strength? What is their superpower? And how can we leverage that as a community, not just as a family, but within our friends and our groups and network? And I think that is like a real piece, not a real piece, but a real thing that I love to focus on, again, because I believe everybody has a strength and a superpower. Who is this person and how can I use them? And not use them, but
I know what you mean. Yeah.
how can I utilize them and what do they need from me? And so it's this
Yes.
reciprocated, great relationship building and networking that just continues.
Yeah, and I think in the beginning of what you were saying, you hit on something that I know I went through, but I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs go through, where you feel like you're not worthy yet of the potential success. It's like you have this opportunity to get your product in front of
Yeah.
somebody who could literally change your business, and you're holding back because you're like, you know what, it's not perfect yet. I need to make sure that, like you're saying, the labels are correct. And in my world of media, okay, our commercials sound exactly right, and we picked the right theme song, even though we might change it a month from now. It's like you want everything to be exactly perfect, because we're ingrained to think that you get one shot at an
Yeah.
opportunity with somebody. You have one chance to get that audience, and if you get it wrong, they're never coming back. And I actually still say that to our team, because I want us to try to be perfect on everything that we do. But you still have to let go of the reins a little bit and just stand on the fact that either in my world of content, or in your world that you're creating this product, the product is going to speak for itself, or the content is going to speak for itself. And the packaging that goes around it can always be updated. But if they love the content, they love the product itself, they're going to stick around and maybe even help you figure out how to make that packaging a little bit better. And that's great that you were able to overcome that fear, because I think a lot of us hold ourselves back from success because we're afraid of stepping out there and taking that chance.
A lot of times a lot of us do it. And I think this is so common across industries, and not even just with having that perfectionist mentality. I look at perfectionism as oppression. It's totally oppressive if we think that things are not ever evolving, or that a lot of these things are variables. They're always going to be changing. So if you don't start, when are you going to start? Just go. And that's whether you want to be an actor or go back to school, or like, if we sit and wait for things to be right and you have a perfectionist mentality about it, you're never going to start. So I always tell people, just go for it. Do it. What's holding you back? Fear. Fear is made up. What's holding you back? Anxiety. Okay, that's fleeting. That's temporary. Let that go. Just go. And no one's going to come at you and completely tear you down because things aren't right. Just my advice is always, you have to be your biggest fan. You have to champion your own cause, and other people will then follow. Because think about it, people are attracted to joyous, happy, confident people. Right? It's like when people are like always down and out and melancholy and not feeling, it's kind of like, you just like kind of like eventually stray away from those people.
Mm-hmm.
So believe in yourself, and others, you'll start to attract that from other people, regardless of where you're at. Just go.
Yeah, well, and if you're not believing in yourself, why would I, as an outsider, believe in you? If you don't believe in your own stuff, then what's the point of any of us believing in you? So, yeah, I think we can be self-defeatist in that way, but I love the way that you laid that out. And I think that anxiousness is just one of the pieces of anxiousness that we have as entrepreneurs. Like, one of the big pieces is capital. How have you been able to financially support this? And like, what is some of that anxiousness of, like, okay, either your day-to-day operations or maybe just how you want to scale up? Because sometimes that's the financial aspect. Maybe you have enough to keep things going, but maybe you don't have enough to be able to get to where you want to be. How do you work with that?
So I'm at the point where my business right now is completely, I bootstrap the whole thing. And I have been able, up until now, to support it on my own where now I'm looking at funding and looking to get small business loans and such, because I want to scale. And in looking at other products I want to launch, how to scale, and where, is it omni-channel, nationally, internationally, looking at all of those things. Um, and then all of the costs, the operating costs and the costs associated with scaling. So that's something I can no longer afford to bootstrap. So I'm looking at funding options for that.
Have there been like supply chain issues? I feel like most people I talk to have had a lot of supply chain issues in these last couple years. Have you had that same situation yourself?
Um, Not necessarily with supply chain, only because I have been able, like a lot of my ingredients have a good shelf life.
Okay.
So I buy in bulk, and they sit until I actually formulate them and they're made fresh. Um, as far as supply chain goes, no, maybe late shipments because of COVID. I know the pandemic changed that quite a bit for so many people. I've been able to sustain,
Okay.
thankfully.
I know in us talking about the intentionality behind creating your business, you really want to build community within your own teams and also your patrons. What does that mean to you, creating that community, especially when we're looking at this from the skincare world? Like that wouldn't be my first inclination to think, oh, there's a community of skin, I'm gonna buy this product and now I'm part of some community. I wouldn't necessarily think about that, but especially as you laid out why you started your company, I can see how that could manifest. So yeah, how do you view community, and how is that? I guess how is that working so far?
It goes, like I said, it goes beyond just selling a product. I have been able to really partner with um, a lot of different organizations. And part of community to me is, again, going beyond the DTC, the direct to consumer, and um, really holding hands and putting my arms around other organizations that I want to partner with, because I believe there's a long term impact there. So when I first started my business, I thought, I can't start my business until I partner with an organization and I give the first month's, I do a match of sales to an organization that's really near and dear to my heart. And so that first organization was the Acid Survivors Foundation. And this is based, they have a few offices. One is in London and another is in Bangladesh. And what they do is basically they rehabilitate women, also men and children who've been victimized by acid attacks. And there's survivors of acid attacks. A lot of times these people are disfigured or they lose limbs. And so they can't go about their normal life. So this wonderful organization rehabilitates them. They give them psychological and psychiatric care. They perform surgeries. They have them in the, like, they teach them new skills, all of these things. And I thought, what a wonderful way to give back. And so my first month, I was able to match sales for that. But people were so in awe of this organization. And a lot of um, people that I knew really didn't even know that this existed. Like these acid attacks were so common in other countries. And people were just like, okay, I'll buy your scrubs, but you know what? I'm going to give a donation of $500. And I'm like, wow, to be able to say, I can take this money and it gets donated directly to this organization was, it's like that. I just leveraged my brand new company to not just match dollars for scrubs, but they got huge monetary donations from it. And I thought, okay, this is like low hanging fruit. Like this is easy to do, and it shouldn't be work, right? It shouldn't be
Hmm.
work for companies. And then another organization I partner with is called Dignity Not Despair, and they're here based in Los Angeles. And what they do is uh, they're able to bring hygiene products and makeup to refugee women. And hygiene is necessary. Hygiene products are necessary. And makeup helps empower women. And so I've been able to hand make soaps, donate scrubs, as well as other products to this organization that goes to refugee women living here in the US. So again, I think it's, really reaching out to those people, whether they're here nationally or internationally. Who cares if they're refugees? Who cares if they are, off the street? And people might think, oh, they're never going to know my. You don't know. Like they know Sugar Dynamite, or they might know me, and know that like you are not forgotten. You matter, and that's to me what community really means. And again, it's holding hands, and it crosses over class.
Oh, sorry, 1 second. I think maybe I accidentally hit the wait bot guy. Hold on. Nope, that's not what I meant to do. I did not mean to bring him on stage. Sorry, everybody. Having fun with Fireside here. That was all my fault.
Sorry. And I just talked so much, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, does anybody have any questions? Should we ask if the audience has any questions so far?
See, we were on the same page. I was going to ask, if anybody out there who's listening to us live on Fireside wants to ask any questions, feel free to raise your hand, or I think there's even like a little chat box thing that you can do. So I'm scrolling through to see if anybody does. If you're watching us live on YouTube, this is also your opportunity to come over here on Fireside and actually join us live here in the room, because we want to be able to actually take questions and also give an opportunity for you to learn things that maybe you want to understand about working in the sales or in the skincare business, or just, entrepreneurial kind of questions that you may have, with your own journey. So you're able to do that live with us here on Fireside, but also appreciate you there watching us on YouTube live. I also think it's a good opportunity to let you know that these will be coming out as podcast episodes and episodes that we'll put up on YouTube. We're still just kind of getting everything fully figured out. So apologies, I don't have an exact date for you for this particular episode, but I'll make sure I keep everybody posted in the next couple of weeks. We'll let you know about that. But again, we are here with Amira Ahmed. If you're here with us live on Fireside, you can actually see the little fortune cookie scroll going across with her website for Sugar Dynamite. So don't leave us yet, but after we get done here, go check out, and not just check out, go and buy some of her products over there at Sugar Dynamite. Also, we just heard about some of the great work that Amira is doing in terms of donating to other foundations. I think, Amira, that's a huge win right there. Even if that win isn't necessarily for your business, like it's a win for your mission overall. And that's really incredible. What are some of those other wins that have really helped you feel like, okay, we're on the right track?
I've found, or I've discovered, such a white space in this DTC market and wholesale market for catering to larger groups. And I never thought of it initially until I started getting requests for baby showers and wedding favors. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's a little bit in that market. Like there are companies that do wedding favors or wedding planning, and they contact companies for all of this stuff. But really, to customize these scrubs with labels for a baby shower I was just like, whoa, so that was a big win for me. Still is, because it's still a huge market, untapped. And I think, being a female founded, owned and operated, minority owned business, first ever skincare body brand to focus on feeling, and really, rather than just selling a product, and having that expand beyond just, again, your website and your omni-channel experience. It's really giving everybody that chance to feel good and making it inclusive and accessible. And it's great when you own your own business, because you can do whatever the hell you want, right? So if I have somebody that comes to me and says, hey, look, I want to do X, Y, Z, great, like I can do it. So I'll give you an example. Last year during this whole like racial reckoning that America had, with realizing that, okay, everybody's racist.
There's a song that goes with that. I think it's from South Park.
I don't watch South Park. So, um, and I don't mean to joke about it because it's actually a very
No,
serious matter.
we got to laugh at the painful things sometimes.
You do. That's what comedy does, right? That's where you and my brother come in. So I have a lot of friends who were doing the work and were on the front lines, really out there, whether it was organizing, a lot of social justice work. And I wanted to make sure that those women were taken care of. So I sent them self-care packages. Um, went to Patrice Cullors, who is, one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter, went to a friend of mine, Natalie Patterson, who, if you live in LA, she did the Love Project, which were really heartfelt, love-filled poems, because she's a spoken word artist. And she was able to paint these words onto boarded up businesses. And it's a lot of heavy lifting, so to speak, on these women, to really suddenly get called out to the front lines. And so I thought, okay, what can I do to just give them that little bit of like downtime? I'm going to send them
Mm.
a bunch of sugar scrubs. These women are all going to get self-care packages from me. And whether they use it immediately or later, like, boom, like I want to make sure they know that they're on my mind and I want to take care of them. So
That's great. And I, having worked with not even those particular people, but a lot of people who are, working in social activism, human rights kind of work, a lot of times, those are people, and much like you and myself, we are trying to put others first. And a lot of times when you put others first, you put yourself last. And, one of the things that goes first is your own personal self-care, your skin, in general. Like I was just telling you, I've, been getting eczema more, and, that's something that I haven't been taking care of, because I'm like, you know what? I don't care. The business comes first. If my face is a little ashy, so be it. But for them to be able to get this care package from someone feeling like that, not feeling like, but someone who's actually looking out for them, that's got to be an incredible feeling for them to be able to get. So on their behalf, I want to say thank you. Just having, worked with a lot of those kind of people, I just know how much somebody thinking about that aspect, I know how much that means to them. And, I also encourage others who are out there who have businesses that might be able to benefit those who are, healthcare workers or activists, or anybody who's on the front line of any kind of kind of situation. Like, those are people that really need some support. And so if your companies can aid and do that, that's great. It allows them to feel better, to feel more whole. And also, hopefully it'll make you feel good. And also, but I know this is probably not why you're doing it and not why you should be doing it, but it puts a feather in the cap of your business that you are going and doing mission driven work. It's not just about making money. You're making people's lives better. So I think that's also something not to shy away from.
yeah, thank you. The heart's involved. There's, emotion, and there's empathy. And again, it goes beyond just ringing a register, right? So
Yep.
that's, to me, that's a huge, those are all huge wins to me, because I believe that wins are not just financial. It's not just about, is your P&L in the green? Yeah, of course you want that. And you need to continue to make business happen. But people are so stuck on like, oh my God, okay, we're just going to give to the NAACP. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you, again, throwing money at these organizations? You're just telling these people to do the work. What are you doing? And that's just one example. I like to look at it from a global perspective, because again, it's not just throwing money at an organization and saying, here you go. It's like, how are you taking your company and going above and beyond? Are you feeding the homeless? Are you doing community cleanups? Like, just all of those things that matter, that show that you care and you're not just polluting the earth and selling products.
Exactly. Or taking advantage of people's situations.
Yeah.
I know we talked a little bit before about work-life balance, but I want to drill back on that a little bit more one more time. I think, setting up boundaries is really important. Everybody has to take stock of their own life situation, and life situations change over time as well. But it's important to set your own boundaries. And so in setting your own, again, this may have changed over time. So I'll specifically ask maybe right now, what are the kind of boundaries that you have set up for your work-life balance that allow you to still continue doing the work and scale up your company, but still allow you to enjoy the fruits of your labor. I always feel that, and I'm the worst at taking this on advice, but you should be working to create a better life for yourself. You shouldn't be working as your life. And so you need to be able to have a little bit of both. And so, yeah, how do you intentionally kind of set up those boundaries for yourself?
First of all, let me say this is always a work in progress for me because I am not the best example. Um, I end up like having really great work life balance, and then I fall and I fall hard, and I'm back like, oh my god, it's 4 a.m. Why am I still working?
How did I
So
get here? Yeah, you have no idea how you ended up
here,
back into the old patterns.
damn, I haven't showered in 2 days. Like it's so crazy. Like we're all, I think, as entrepreneurs, guilty of it. So what I started, I actually, let me just say this. I have a corporate job. I run another small company in the
Oh,
day.
I feel bad. I did not actually realize that. Wow, you are bouncing a lot.
Well, I have to, I have to bootstrap this business, and, Sugar Dynamite alone isn't going to pay all my bills. So, there are things you got to do what you got to do until the funding comes in, right? Um, so I hustle hard. But what I do is I love this new feature on iPhone for those of you who have iPhones and not Androids, but it's the do not disturb function. And it tells people, like Amira has her phone silenced. And then you can set time limits for when you want it to, stay on or off. So I do zero notifications. And then I only have like my boss and certain people allowed to text me or call me. I also don't return texts until after 5 p.m. and phone
Oh,
call. Yeah. Um,
personal and business, or just personal?
just personal,
Okay.
just personal. And I have a big family, so they're all distracting me like 24/7 over something, and none of it's a 911. Um, and then I figured, I used to be so great at waking up at 4 a.m, having a 5 a.m. workout. I was so regimented. And then, starting my day, working, stopping, eating something, resting a little bit, and then getting started on Sugar Dynamite. Um, and things change, right? So I basically now I'm like, I don't need to get up so early in the morning, and I can work a little later. So now I start my days later, but I always start with intention. So when I wake up, it's like I zombie over to my kitchen and I have my coffee, and then I meditate. That is like, I have this app called Balance, and I think they're doing like a really like, you can donate to the app and you get it for free, or if you don't have any money for it, like it's just so cool because they want people to be they want people to meditate, and they know the benefits of it. So that's what they're doing for their first year, so take advantage of that. But I meditate throughout the day, and that helps me find calm and balance. um, and then I can work later, so it's like between 5 and 8, it's like I'm returning phone calls, people are calling me, the texts come through, and then it kind of stops. And then by 9 o'clock, the rest of the world is in bed. And it's like, now I can work. So I find like when I work through the night, I'm more creative, I'm more productive. Everybody else is asleep. I can get a lot of stuff done. And then I can sleep my 7 and 8 hours and wake up later. And I will say sleep hygiene is super important, because
Yeah.
if you lack in your sleep hygiene, it's going to show up in your body. It's going to show up all of these other ways. And um, as you get older, like I am, I'm going to be 46 this year, it'll start to show up in different ways. It'll manifest itself. So sleep is super important. Um, Everybody needs to have it. You have to prioritize it, and you'll feel better and you'll be more productive.
Yeah, I know if I don't get enough sleep, it definitely affects my mood, which affects everybody on the team. So just just from that standpoint alone, I know I need to get my sleep in. But I think what you were mentioning too, I think is important, because it sounds like you're constantly just, when you get time, and sometimes when I say get time, that means you have to make time, but you're creating time for yourself to take a step back and reevaluate, because things are changing. So before you were more a morning person, now you've realized, okay, I need to adjust to make it more of a nighttime thing, but still creating boundaries that you're saying, okay, at 9 o'clock, well, at 5 o'clock, I'll start returning some of those personal calls, and like from 5 to 9, there's some crossover between personal life and business life. And then from 9 on, okay, business life is done. Now it's just personal. And so I wake up in the next morning, and now I get into my self-care routine, into the business aspect, and then repeat. I think that's a really great way of structuring it. I kind of have a similar way of I stop at 9 p.m. or at least I tell myself I'm going to stop at 9 p.m. Every once in a while, it goes till midnight. But yeah, it's good to have that kind of cutoff where you're ramping down before you try to go to bed. Because just speaking for myself, when I work late, I have more insomnia, and now that's going to hurt my ability to fall asleep because I can't get my mind to stop thinking about working. But if I stop by 9 o'clock, it gives me an hour or two to ramp down before I actually go to bed, and gives my brain a little bit of time to separate, work and actual rest there. So, that's another reason why I think it's important to kind of set some of those boundaries. Are there boundaries that you set for yourself in the past where you actually had to say, well, know what? No, that doesn't work. Whether it was maybe hurting your business because you had set a certain boundary, or maybe it just wasn't the right kind of boundary for your personal life.
I think I'm an extremist, so I either go like hard and really, strict one way, or I just, completely fall off. I can't think of any boundaries that I had in the past that were, that didn't work. If they didn't work, it was because I didn't follow through and I didn't stick to the boundary. Right. So it's
Yeah.
like, setting this boundary, I'm not taking calls, between this time and this time. And then I, walk off to go do something, and then I break my own boundary. And I think that's the hardest thing, was me fighting with myself going, why am I doing this? And what I realized, it was me wanting to step away from my work or not dealing with the task at hand and just saying I can walk off for a bit. So now it's like, if I walk off because I this is too overwhelming or whatever it is, I need to sit with myself for 5 minutes and just meditate a bit. Not pick up my phone, not go on Instagram, not see who's doing what, not call my mom, like meditate, because I find, or go for a walk, because I find when I clear my head, it's a whole new perspective. When I come back, it's like, oh yeah, bring it on. I could do this. So I highly encourage it. I used to think meditation was boring, and I like hated sitting still for so long because I have terrible, I don't know, ADD, ADHD, whatever you want to call it. But it really helps me get back to centering myself. And it also relieves a lot of anxiety or thoughts of fear that kind of pop in my head sometimes about whatever it may be. And then I can feel more focused and purposeful in what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. I think, I was talking before about my insomnia. Meditation was something that I used a lot to try to help with that, because it helps to kind of slow down the mind. Like you were also saying, I love walking out in nature, or just walking outside in general. I just think that movement can sometimes, put you into a different mood, put you into a different headspace. But I think you were also touching on something before at the beginning of that as well, where you were essentially saying like you gave yourself permission to step away. And I think that's something that we also sometimes forget to do, is give ourselves permission to step away from work. Because I actually have to rationalize it to myself sometimes of, okay, I'm going to step away. But remember, Chris, you just worked, 12 hours yesterday or 15 hours yesterday. So you taking a step back in the middle of the workday for 10 minutes still means that you're probably working 12 hours a day. So like you can give yourself permission that the work's still going to get done. You're actually probably still overdoing it. But at the same time, like you're giving yourself permission in the moment that when you're feeling like you need to step away, listen to your body, listen to your mind, listen to, that voice inside of you that's telling you, okay, you need to step away. Because ultimately, if you just keep, barreling straight ahead, you're sometimes not stepping back and seeing that bigger picture that's going to make you help make a better decision. And now you might be creating more problems for yourself down the road because you just kept trying to go at it instead of just walking away from 10 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever it might be.
I feel like that's where the mistakes happen. I know that when I work super long nights and I'm working on something, I go back and I'm like, holy crap. Like if I, input some stuff in an Excel sheet and then I go back to look at it 2 days later, I'm like, oh my God, this thing is completely wrong. And then I go, why is it wrong? And it's because I barreled through and I pushed through. And it's like, it's so unhealthy because, I was born and raised in the corporate environment. So it's like, you know what it is? It's like no sleep.
Yep.
You will pay you a lot. We'll also offer you life insurance because we're probably going to kill you. So there's that. And you'll be able to buy a house and drive a nice car and have some extra money, but we're going to work you to death.
But you're never
And
going to be home to enjoy any of those things.
exactly. And I went through that, where I bought a house, I had a nice car, and it was like, I have no one to share this house with. It's totally empty. Everything just felt like, is it worth it? And so, again, there was no purpose, there was no creativity. And I've had really great mentors and leaders, and then I've had shitty ones. And so, again, being 46, I can look back and go, okay, you know, where were some of the wins? And had nothing to do with financial. It was learning, right? And then and everything was a learning experience for me. But I think overall, it's just not human to work 24/7. We are me, you, any of us. We're no good to anyone if we drive ourselves into the ground, and we continue to work like this, um, and our health starts to dissipate, right? And things start to happen. Well, then how good are you as a business leader when you have all these issues now, right? That you have to take care of. So it's like really prioritizing yourself. The business will always be there. And I'll give you an example. I lost my dad 2020 Christmas Day. I'm sorry, 2021 Christmas Day, pandemic. 2020.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Um, it's, I thought I could numb the grief and the pain and dive myself into my business, or I can take a step back and sit with my feelings. And you know what? The business will always be there. And guess what? I did. I don't want to say that can I cuss?
Oh, please do. I come from uncensored
Okay.
comedy.
I was just kind of like, fuck it. The business will always be there. I own the trademark. I own this business. If orders come through, great. I am going to take a step back. I'm not going to do marketing. I'm not going to drive myself into the ground. I'm actually going to sit and mourn and grieve and feel all of the feelings and let this flow through my system. So then I can reflect and feel better and heal and then get back to it. And guess what? Yeah, maybe I didn't like sell a ton of sugar scrubs during that time, but you know what? Um, I'm sorry, it was 2020, not 2021. I, you know, again, I was able to still stay afloat and nobody forgot about Sugar Dynamite. So it's like, if you own your own business, don't be so hard on yourself and utilize the resources around you, the people around you who can come over and help you source stuff out. Like if you're going through it, allow yourself to go through it, because the more you suppress whatever you're going through, it's gonna come back, and it's gonna come back hard, and it might materialize and manifest in ways, in relationships or in your business or just personally, and in your health, and that's what you don't want. So if I can give any bit of advice, nobody asked for it, but I'm giving it to you.
I kind of
Okay,
did.
take a step back and allow yourself to feel. Don't be so numb, and we're not robots, right? Be human and put yourself out there. So, and then allow yourself to sit and grieve.
Excellent. Well said. Again, I'm so sorry for you losing your father a couple of years ago. I'm sure it doesn't get any easier, and I'm sure it doesn't not easy to talk about. But I appreciate you saying that, because I think there's a lot of people that have lost people, especially these last couple of years. And yet, many of them are business owners like yourselves who are still trying to push through while still trying to manage that grief and even just kind of perspective on what's happening in their life right now. So I think it's really powerful what you just said, and I'm really glad that we're kind of ending on that note. Usually I try to end on more a higher note, but like I think this is actually a high note in a good way in terms of like trying to look positive out of tragedy kind of situations, and like how do you keep things going while also taking care of yourself. So I really appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share that. I've grieved and I'm healing, and it's okay. It's okay. I'll be okay. And I think that this is something that makes my dad happy. He was an entrepreneur, and really living out my dream is also living out his dream. They say we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. Like let's let's do these things. You know, we all are going to have our time. How are we going to make it like just so amazing with, you know, with our time here on earth? So
Absolutely. Well, Amira, thank you so much for being here, part of Entrepreneur Struggle. Before we fully wrap up here, please let people know where to check out your product. By the way, if you're here live on Fireside, look at the little fortune cookie scroll. You can now soon hit the Sugar Dynamite link so you can actually go check out the website. But also, Amira, if you can let everybody know the website, social media, all the pertinent information.
yes. So first of all, sugardynamite.com is where you can check out my sugar scrubs. And I want to say for those of you who joined today, I am going to offer a 20% discount for you guys. Give me just like 5 minutes to activate it, but the discount code will be Fireside 20. And for those of you on YouTube and everywhere else, Fireside 20. And actually, I'll keep it up for a month or so because you said you're going to put this on Spotify and everywhere else. Okay, yep. I will put it up for a month. That way.
Oh, thank you so much.
And then I'm on Instagram, Facebook. So at Sugar Dynamite on Instagram, Sugar Dynamite on Facebook and on Twitter. And then my personal Instagram is XO Amira Ahmed. And I usually try to post mostly inspirational, motivational stuff there. You know, inspiring quotes and things like that, anecdotes and things. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again so much. Thank you so much for offering the promo code for all our listeners here. By the way, if you're watching us on YouTube Live, make sure you sign up for Fireside so you can actually be part of the conversation. We'd love to have you jump on stage and ask questions or make comments. For those of you who are live on Fireside, after this is done, you can actually catch the full recording here. But as Amira was just mentioning, in the next few weeks, we're going to start rolling these out into the podcast space so you can get them on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, all that good stuff. And we're also, working on YouTube. And actually, I think I'm probably going to put some of these clips up on LinkedIn. So you're going to find this in a lot of places. Follow me at Chris Colbert on Instagram or follow my company at DCP Official to find out more information about, when we're putting out these episodes. And just like Amira did, if you are an entrepreneur and wants to be part of one of these conversations, please feel free to reach out to me, through Chris Colbert Report on Instagram or through our DCP channels. Would love to have you and feature you within this series. But again, Amira, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Thank you for being part of the program. And thank you for literally, asking and wanting to be part of this. That made me feel special and feel like we were on the right track. So, you're helping me with my journey at the same time. So thank you.
It's reciprocated. Thank you. And just really quick before I forget, and I think I forgot to mention this, if you are a new entrepreneur or even existing and you have not heard of Small Business Administration and you haven't been on the website, check it out. They have SCORE in LA. It's SCORE LA, where they have mentorship. So many free resources. So things you don't have to pay for, classes, webinars. So really utilize that. It's helped me. And I hope that, if you are a new entrepreneur, you can take a look at it and actually benefit from that. So that's it.
Is that through SBA.gov?
Yep. SBA.
Okay, so yeah, everybody out there, S as in Sam, B as in boy, A as in Aaron.
Amira?
That's my middle name. SBA.gov.
All right.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Also, one last thing for everybody here. We're also going to have another episode of Entrepreneur Struggle this Friday. We just scheduled it, so that's why I almost forgot to mention it. This Friday at 1 p.m. I know we're being sporadic with the bookings, so follow me here on Fireside to get alerts. And again, I'll make sure everybody knows when we're putting up Amira's episodes. So that way, if you missed anything or want to make sure that you push this to anybody else who might be able to get some from this conversation, please feel free to do